These are the car modifications that can land you in prison, and we are not talking about a traffic ticket or a fix-it notice, but actual jail time, felony charges, and fines that will drain your bank account overnight. Stranger still, some of these parts sit available for purchase online right now, completely out in the open. We are covering all of them, what they are, what the penalties look like. Start with the biggest one, the modification that has drawn more federal enforcement action than everything else on this list combined, and that is emissions delete kits and delete tunes. Pulling a catalytic converter, a diesel particulate filter, an EGR valve, or any emissions control system off a street certified vehicle violates the Clean Air Act as a federal crime. Rolling coal runs into the Clean Air Act the same way a delete kit does at the federal level, but here's the thing about state penalties, the range between them barely makes sense. Georgia charges between $10 and $25 for the same act that draws a $5,000 civil penalty in New Jersey, while Michigan can hand you a felony charge with prison time attached. Loud exhaust catches enthusiasts flat-footed because a performance muffler does not feel like the kind of decision that ends with a criminal charge. New Jersey bans any modification pushing engine noise past factory levels, with muffler bypasses sitting in flat-out illegal territory, carrying a $500 fine and up to 30 days in jail. New York City pushed further, with fines up to $1,000 and 30 days for modified mufflers. Few modifications have moved through state legislatures as fast as the Carolina squat, a lift that raises the front of a truck while dropping the rear, tilting headlights skyward and stripping forward visibility down to almost nothing. North Carolina banned it in 2021. South Carolina followed in May 2023 and started writing tickets a year later, and Tennessee added its own prohibition in July 2024. A third offense in South Carolina pulls a $300 fine and a 12-month license suspension, and given the legislative pace this modification has built, more states are not far behind. Two more that blindside people are VIN tampering and police-style lighting, and both carry consequences that most hobbyists have never stopped to think about. In Arizona, altering or destroying a vehicle identification number is a Class 5 felony, which carries 6 months to 2.5 years in prison on top of significant fines. The assumption most people make is that this law exists for car theft rings, but if an engine swap damages or removes the VIN plate during the process, the felony exposure is the same regardless of intent, and that is a reality that a lot of legitimate builders have never factored in. Installing red, white, and blue emergency-style lighting on a civilian vehicle follows the same pattern of looking cosmetic until it suddenly is not. Criminal impersonation in the first degree is a Class E felony in New York, carrying up to 4 years in prison, which means a lighting choice that seemed like aesthetics can cross into serious felony territory in a single conversation with a prosecutor. ECU tuning without proper certification sits in territory that many enthusiasts assume is safe, and that assumption has cost real money in documented cases. California's Air Resources Board requires every emissions-related modification, including software tunes, to carry certification through their executive order program, and a tune without an EO number is illegal to sell or install in the state regardless of how the tune performs. January 2026 delivered a federal policy reversal worth understanding clearly. The Department of Justice announced it would stop criminally prosecuting people and companies that sell defeat devices, removing what had functioned as the sharpest enforcement tool at the federal level. It means the federal government quietly gave the delete and tune industry a partial pass. Up until January 2026, if you sold defeat devices, you faced 2 threats: criminal prosecution, prison, and civil enforcement, fines. The DOJ announcement removed the first one. Selling a delete kit is no longer something the federal government will put you in handcuffs for, but the fines never went away. Automated noise cameras, active EPA enforcement databases, and state legislation moving faster than this industry has seen in years have changed the risk calculation on modifications that once felt low stakes. One study places annual American deaths tied to diesel particulate matter at 21,000, and that number sits on the desk of every regulator deciding how hard to push, which is why the trajectory keeps moving toward tighter restrictions rather than looser ones. Knowing what carries a fine, what suspends a license, and what puts someone in front of a judge is not optional for anyone spending serious money and time on their vehicles. That knowledge is just the cost of doing this right.